Here in the UK, where I live, all packaged foods are required to display calorie information on their packaging. And as of last year, courtesy of Boris Johnson's Tackling Obesity initiative, all restaurants, cafes and takeaways with over 250 employees must display calorie information on their menus. The logic behind this policy, according to the government's very own website, is that it's hard for people to make the right decision when they don't have access to the right information. Which is true, but it doesn't answer the more important question, which is, does providing that information actually lead people to make the right decisions? So, as a behavioral scientist and someone who's interested in judgment and decision making, that's what I'm going to investigate in today's video. Now, according to the data we have on calorie labeling, which it turns out is quite a lot, calorie labeling basically doesn't work that well. You see, using calorie labeling to try and reduce calories consumed is not a new idea. In fact, Casey Neistat made a video about this being introduced in New York City 8 years ago, and in the time since that video we have a huge plethora of data on how effective this new scheme has been. We have this study that looked at McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's and KFC. We have this study that looked at Starbucks, and we have this study that looked at a undisclosed popular Mexican fast food chain. And we even have this meta-analysis from 2014 that looked at a whole bunch of different calorie labeling studies from the US, and all of these studies have the same conclusion, that the introduction of calorie labeling does not have the intended effect of reducing the number of calories selected or consumed. Now, if you're watching this outside of the United States, then I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, of course these fat Americans didn't respond to the calorie counts, but we non-Americans surely will do much better than them. Well, turns out not so much. Take this study, for example, which looked at the effect of front of packaging labels in European consumers. In this study, they found that less than a third of European consumers even looked at the label, let alone its impact on their actual purchasing behavior. Or another example might be this huge randomized control trial that tested a whole bunch of different label designs. Now, of these designs, the best one was apparently Nutri-Score, but even for that one, the effects were described by the authors as disappointingly small. So what's going on here? Why doesn't just presenting people with information about calories get them to eat less? Well, one reason that some of my fellow behavioral scientists have suggested is that the information on the labels is too hard to understand. Calories, energy balance, metabolism, all of that is way too complicated for your average consumer. And so they argue that we need to present that information in a way that's more understandable, that people can actually make use of. But I'm arguing in this video that that idea is wrong. Because if you look at that randomized control trial that I showed you earlier, even with all the traffic light colors and the removal of jargon and all of these things that are supposed to help people make sense of the label, the change in behavior was very, very small. Now, there's another labeling strategy that I haven't talked about yet, and that one is called the physical activity calorie equivalent labeling, or PACE labeling. With PACE labels, rather than display energy in terms of calories, they display energy from food in terms of how much exercise you'd have to do to burn that food off. For example, you want to eat a pizza, that'll cost you 45 minutes of running to burn. Now, this seems like a good idea, right? Calories are kind of this abstract concept that's hard to understand, but everyone knows that running for 45 minutes really sucks, and if you had to do it every time you wanted to eat a piece of pizza, you probably just wouldn't eat the pizza. But alas, a 2018 meta-analysis on the impact of PACE labeling found that PACE labeling versus regular calorie labeling had no additional impact on calories consumed at all. So that begs the question, with all of this data on normal calorie labels, on calorie labels in supermarkets, and even on behaviorally informed calorie labels, the effect seems to be really, really small in changing people's eating behavior. So then we gotta ask, why does the British government think that this is a good legislation to impose on restaurants and that it's gonna have any kind of significant impact on obesity at all? Because from my perspective, calorie labeling and nutrition labeling is something which has been tested and tried in many different countries, and consistently it shows that it has very, very small or even no effect on eating behavior whatsoever. So in my opinion, I don't think we should be dedicating money, resources, and time to making this mandatory for food chains. Now, I hate to be that guy that just complains and doesn't offer any solutions. So here are some ideas that I have that I think are probably worth more of a try than calorie labeling, which has proven not to work. Number one, give people a really tasty, not even necessarily healthy snack when they enter the supermarket. Now, this is a counterintuitive idea because you're probably thinking, if we're trying to get people to eat less calories, why would we give them this unhealthy snack when they enter the supermarket, surely that's going to increase the number of calories that they eat. Well, the reason why you'd want to feed them then is because of human psychology. If you want people to consume less, then the one place you don't want people to be hungry is in the supermarket. Because it seems obvious to me that when people shop hungry, that piece of cake or that oven pizza seems way more tempting than if you're shopping on a full stomach. So when you're not hungry and you're shopping for your groceries, you're able to think much more clearly, you're able to make much better shopping decisions. And so that little snack that we gave you at the start of your shopping trip that increased your calories a little bit will end up having much more disproportionate positive effects on the total number of calories you consume throughout the week, because you're going to be putting less bad food into your shopping basket. That's just one idea I had. So the second idea I had was to change the layout of the supermarket on a semi-regular basis. Most of us shop at the same supermarket every week, shop at the same time every week, and buy mostly the same things every week, which means that in this repeated, consistent, predictable behavior, we can quite safely say that for most of us, grocery shopping is a habit. Now, the thing about habits is that sometimes old habits can stop us from acting in accordance with our new goals. And with a lot of people intending to eat healthier these days but not actually doing it, I suspect that it's old habits that are stopping these people from doing so. But what we know from habit science is that if we switch up the cues, like for example, switching up the supermarket on a regular basis, this can give people a great opportunity to realign their habits in a way that's in accordance with their goals. So rather than just intending to eat healthier, this gives them a great opportunity to change their habits and actually turn it into a new diet. And my third and final idea is to take advantage of something called the Goldilocks effect, where just like in the story with the three bears, when people are presented with three options, the Goldilocks effect says that they're most likely to choose the middle option. So if we wanted to get people to order smaller portions of food, we could use the Goldilocks effect in this way. Rather than displaying these three sizes as the default options at Starbucks, we could instead display these three options. Now what was previously the small becomes the medium, and therefore it's more likely to get chosen, which means people are going to order smaller drinks and therefore consume less calories. Now, these are just three quick ideas that I came up with this week, and I could come up with a lot more, but I don't want to make the video too long. If you guys have any thoughts about calorie labeling or other suggestions on how to tackle obesity with a behavioral economics nudge, let me know in the comments below. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's video about calorie labeling, can you please give me a thumbs up down below because I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. If you're wondering why in this video I keep changing t-shirts and the audio quality keeps changing, it's because I shot on 2 different days with 2 different microphones. Thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers, by the way. Insane. Thank you so much.